Hey everyone, and welcome back to Coastside Church Online. I hope that you've had a fantastic week and that you're all fit and healthy. Today we want to continue our chats with our Coastside Church family, and I am thrilled and I want to welcome to my home Pastors Sam and Kirsty Minturn. So welcome guys. How are you? Kirst, I haven't seen you. I see Sam a little bit because he's normally behind the camera, but Kirst, this is the first time I've seen you. You look so well.
I know, we're getting there.
How many weeks pregnant are you now?
22, I think. 22 today.
Wow.
22 today. I know. Well, they just roll, the weeks roll into months and the months roll into years, and then you go, what?
Yes. So we all know what you do, but some people might be watching this and don't know what you do. So tell us what your role at Coastside Church is.
Yeah. So Kirsty and I are the youth pastors at Coastside Church, and we just do a lot of youth stuff, don't we? So we assist anywhere we can in the church, but basically our main role is to love on people that are under 18, serve people that are under 18, make sure they're okay, pastor them, speak with them, do all those sort of things. Basically our demographic is everyone under 18, but then I think under 12 is another department where we take care of all the teenagers of the church. So we get to hang out with all the teenagers and hang out with all those guys. So
that's a huge role.
Yeah, it is.
So now I do know your story because before you were the youth pastors, Chris and I had a little stint at being youth leaders. And we knew when we were doing it that we were just there for a season until the right ones came along. So we just sort of held it, you know. And so when Sam first come along and Kirsty I just went, this is them. I just totally knew it was them. So tell us your story, because when we first approached you, you were like, Sam was like, totally no, whereas Kirsty's like, yay. So can you just, I still remember sitting where we were in the church having this conversation. That little room out the back.
So
the miscellaneous room.
It was actually, that was a really interesting part of our lives. Like, I was hesitant towards church. I'd grown up in the church, but I was like, I just do this to make my parents happy. But she ended up on her own journey and like discovering God, and she was like, it's like the honeymoon stage. She's like, this is awesome. Like, there's a God. I'm loved. I can change the world. Blah blah. So, I remember you actually signed me up. You're like, we're going to go volunteer at youth on Fridays. And I'm like, all right. So, I really wanted to impress her at the time, so
the old flirt and convert,
well, she flirted converted me, but so she we went to youth, we volunteered under you guys, we were just volunteers, and obviously one day you decided to pull us in the room and say, you know what, would you be interested in taking this thing over? I remember in the meeting I was like, yep, but in my head I was like, no way, like,
and I'm like,
we're getting conned into this. But long story short, we leave the meeting and Kirsty and I went for a drive, and I said, like, the church, it's a trap. Like, don't get near the church. Like, I just do this because it's like part of my family, but like, stay away. And Kirsty just basically said, no, like, I want to impact young people's lives. I want to be involved in youth work. I want to be involved in doing good things. And I said, look, just let's just think about it. And she said, look, like, basically she was like, if you don't do this, I'm going to have to dump you. Like, you're going to have to jump into this with me. And I said, you know what? I am trying to impress. I am trying to, get in the good books. So I said, you know what? I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a try. And
I mean, we didn't know what a youth pastor was or what we had. We
No.
had no idea. Like, really, very naive
I had
of us
an
to
idea,
go,
but
we had no idea. Like, and
what it involved.
Well, I had an idea of what I thought it was, but to later come, that's not
no, that's
what it really was. It was far better.
Far greater, but like the responsibility was far greater as well.
But very quickly, just on my journey, and Kirsty, you'll share what happened with you, because you were like yes from the get-go. Quite quickly, I started to see the bigger calling, and obviously started to see what you saw before we did.
Exactly.
And I guess we'll unpack more of our story, but tell us what happened on your side, because
all I remember was that you, yourself and Chris were like, just want to come and like volunteer, just come, like test the waters, you know, we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we will.
And
Like,
it wasn't full time either, so
No.
we didn't. So
No
there's
pressure.
a way to do this. People.
yeah, there was no pressure at all.
So it was just like, I think once a fortnight or something,
Yeah,
every
it was,
second
yeah,
week.
yeah, it was
like
something
just,
easy.
so it wasn't full time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just to give you a little taste, it's like, yes.
Put the toe in.
We just knew. So
Which is so crazy that,
Yeah.
like, you know, like for Chris and Julie to see, I love how God does that. Like
Yeah,
that He
it's so
plants like something within you that
Yeah.
you see that we would have never saw.
seen.
Like
Yeah.
we're like, I don't even know how many years. It's like 6 or 7 years that we've been youth pastoring for, and the people that we've pastored and loved and helped and stuff like that, like it just takes like, you know, 2 people to see something that you don't see in yourself. And
Yeah.
if you guys didn't give us that opportunity, like we wouldn't
Yeah.
be or have the opportunities that we've had. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
you and Chris have played a massive role in, you know, our ministry life, because we would have never put our hands up
Yeah,
for that,
never.
because
Yeah.
we would have never thought, we didn't necessarily see the calling and see the cause
Yeah.
until somebody saw the cause and the calling in
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And even though our responses were different, we still, I can say that we wouldn't have believed in ourselves.
No
So
way.
it took someone to
Yeah.
believe in us.
Yeah.
Even though our responses were different, like I was
Yeah.
no, she was yes. There still had to be someone to believe in us because we didn't believe in ourselves.
No,
so
yeah, because
Yeah.
of who we were before we knew Jesus. Like we
Yeah.
didn't feel like we were
Yeah.
Worthy?
worthy of it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, like to lead other people is such a great honor
Yeah.
and such a responsibility. And when you don't see that in yourself, because you know the enemy's really ripping who you are off
Yeah.
and ripping
Yeah.
who you know God made you, you don't feel like
Yeah.
you deserve
Yeah.
that, or deserve's probably not the right word, but just to even be in that position is very, you know,
Yeah.
like it's a whirlwind.
Do you think that before you can serve, you've really got to have your life completely sorted,
Absolutely.
be the most holy of holiest people, and well, that's
it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because we didn't actually have that, we didn't necessarily have that moment with Jesus just yet. You know, that
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
you have where you're like, where God just really grabs you and was like, no, you really are forgiven. Like you
Yeah.
really are. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
It's done.
interested
Yeah.
in what you've done. I'm just so interested in who you
Yeah.
are now
Yeah.
and who you're
So
going to
good.
become. And once you really, once you have that moment with Jesus, it's like
Yeah.
you just nothing, like doesn't matter. The enemy can whisper what he wants and you're
Yeah.
like, not today,
Yeah.
not tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to change the world.
Yes. Kirsty, I can remember for your story that you were dating Sam.
Yeah.
And now, Sam, you were,
Dating the church boy.
Yeah, you were dating the
worldly girl.
church boy.
And I was dating the worldly girl.
I know.
So, of course, a bit of, you know.
A bit of
The black
controversy.
sheep.
Remember my first time I walked into church, I was like,
We're all like, who is this girl?
who is this girl?
But we loved you from the
Yes,
start.
of
But
course
you
you did.
sat in church for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you just kept coming back every Sunday,
Yeah.
and there was always a chance for a
remember.
salvation call,
Yeah.
I guess, because you hadn't made that decision yet. Do
Yeah.
you want to just...
Yeah,
Tell
I
us a
remember,
bit
like,
about
I
that.
mean, I have no godly background or influence in my life, and I've been very fortunate to have a beautiful support system, but I wasn't necessarily the easiest teenager. I was just wild and free, and if you said no, well, I said yes, and that's
Yeah.
just the way it went.
Yeah.
And I got
Has anything
myself...
changed?
but with a godly twist, you know.
Yeah.
But,
wild, but-
yeah, you know, my greatest strength is my biggest weakness as well, you know.
That's true.
But yeah, who I just really struggled, you know, and I didn't realize how much I struggled with who I was, and you know, I've always been an advocate for people, always. So
Yeah.
that always got me into trouble as well.
Yeah.
But just like my relationship with my mum wasn't strong as a teenager, and that caused a lot of, I suppose not trauma's not the word, but do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like a lot of, you know, missed opportunities
Yeah.
growing up. You know, I just didn't have that relationship, and because of my actions, not because of my mum. Like I'm like woman enough now and a mum now to
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
my mum did the best she
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
And you know, I was looking for this something. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was. Didn't know who it
Yeah,
was.
wow. That's so
and
cool.
you know, met this boy who just had this godly influence. And when you meet other, like when you're not a Christian and you meet a Christian, there's something different about them. You don't know what it is, but you know you want what they have.
That's so cool.
You
That's
don't
good
know,
to know because my story is the same as Sam's. I was raised in the church,
There's
and
just
so you don't know.
you know, I think it's a support. And it's you, even if you guys don't like know it because you've grown up in it, it's normal. There's this support around you, and to know that you have people praying for you, even if you don't want it. Do you know what I mean? Like just little things like that make such a difference. And I remember coming to church every single Sunday because I felt something, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Everybody else knew what it was.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of the person that like, you can't tell me. I have to experience it myself.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like I will still jump off that bridge.
Yes.
Because I have to experience it for myself. And
Yeah.
that's how I really now I am a Christian. I have found Jesus. That's how I really do my ministries, that no one ever forced God down my throat. I experienced it for my whole self.
Yeah.
And because people exampled their life and who Jesus was within them, I really follow suit in that. Like your life is your biggest ministry. And I remember I had in my head that a particular person was singing worship, a particular person was preaching, and I was going to give my life to God. And I think it was after like my 21st birthday. Kate, how funny is this? I had to have one last hurrah. I couldn't be a Christian.
Hey, that's the truth.
I couldn't be a Christian on my 21st birthday because I wanted to go and get drunk.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I wanted to, and I still love to dance and party, and that's who God made me. I'm a partier, but like, you know, not with all the stuff that's not necessarily good for me.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, okay, the next Sunday I'm going to give my life to God because that's when life starts, because I've had my last hurrah.
Yeah.
And that Monday I had this dream. I had this vivid dream that I was being dragged to the pit of hell, like literally, and like I still remember it so vividly.
Wow.
I was sleeping at Samuel's parents' place, and he was in the lounge room. I was sleeping in his bedroom, and his dog at the time was just barking at the window, but like not like a woof woof, like a full deep bark. And I was being dragged to the pit of hell, and Samuel had me like holding on to me, like calling out to his mum, and his mum was like praying, and I woke up so scared because I mean like I've never experienced heaven and hell and like, you know, or anything like that before. And I remember we were talking about, you know, like dreams and visions and stuff like that. So this was, at the time, I thought it was an attack from the enemy, but it was really God speaking to me.
Yeah.
And I went...
Just saying that it's time.
Like, it's time, girlfriend.
You know
like,
enough now.
Stop pussyfooting around. Like, you've really got to make a decision here, you know. And I ran into Sam bawling, and I was like, I don't care what your parents say, I'm sleeping next to you. I was so scared. I was like, this, like, literally. And then out of nowhere, this is where it, like, sort of got, like, so real for me, this presence, but not a godly presence. This presence was hounding over me. And he was dead asleep, and he woke up out of nowhere. He doesn't remember this.
Wow.
And he woke up, like, literally like he was Dracula and went like this. And I was like, what the hell? And he was like, you stay away from her in the name of Jesus. And, like, fully was warfaring for me in his sleep. And I'm freaking out because I'm not a Christian. I don't know what the heck is going on here. Like, this is not okay. You weird Christian people, what is going on? Right? And then... And then I woke him up. He's like, what are you doing?
Leave me
like,
alone.
I'm asleep. And I was like, babe, like, there's all these things. Anyways, there's all the things. And then came the morning, talked to Mark and Sheree about it, and just had this piece that I then knew that, like, this is real.
Yeah.
Like, this is real.
You had your own revelation.
Had that moment, you know. And then that Sunday, how I had it in my head, how I had it in my head, it wasn't how it happened.
The opposite.
It was completely opposite. And I remember, because when you have beautiful people around you, and they're always rallying for you to find Jesus because you understand that how it feels. And I remember I just shocked everyone by just like, with the back in the day when you had to put up your hand. If you still have to put up your hand, get rid of it. Like, seriously, it is so awkward. It is, isn't it? It's just not okay.
We don't do that anymore.
No, we don't do that anymore. And it was still to this day, I don't regret it. It was just one of the most beautiful moments of my life that I now was in control.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the things that used to bound me and hold me down no longer did, because
so
I have a higher power, and I have someone every day of my life like that that in his book of life, he already had ordained my steps,
Yeah.
that I just had purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's something that I never had before.
Yeah.
And that's something that nobody can take away from you. And I think that's the most, I suppose, magical thing about the whole experience of finding Jesus, is that you then have that little piece that was always missing.
Yeah.
Is now there.
It's there.
It's
Yeah.
there,
It's so
and you
good.
just can never look back on it. It's just one of the most beautiful things that you'll ever do
Yeah.
for yourself in your whole life.
Yeah. And Sam, yours is completely opposite to Kirst. And I obviously know, because I've similar story, when you're raised in church and then your parents were pastors.
Yeah.
So did you always struggle with doing the whole Christian thing? And
Yeah, like complete opposite. Like
Yeah.
I remember I grew up in the church. I remember when I was young, I was like, I know there's something there, and I know there's something bigger. But as you get older and you go into teenage years, you're just like I'll get back to it, or
Yeah.
I'll return when I'm 30.
Yeah.
Let me live my life. But and just to add to that, I never realized that the living your life was actually opposite to living your life.
Yeah.
It was like a trap. It was like, I want to
Yeah.
go live my life, and I didn't realize that living my life was right in front of me.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time I met Kirsty, I had decided that church wasn't for me, God wasn't for me, all this wasn't for me. And I remember just going into the world and I did my thing and just avoiding God at all costs.
Yeah.
Like I'd go to things where my parents are there to like impress them. And then like there'd be a guest speaker, they'd be like, hey, you're called to like do this. And I'm like, get away from me. Like I'm only here to like support my parents. I'm not here for you to tell me what I'm going to not
I
do.
don't want your property.
Yeah.
There was
Get your spirit hands away from me.
a lady that came once and she's like, you, and I'm like looking around like him. She's like, no, you come at the front. And she said, by the age of 21, you'll be preaching. And I remember just looking like not with hate but anger and going, I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And I walked back to my seat and said, I'll prove you wrong.
Wow.
Not to skip the story, but at age 21, I did my first message under your leadership, which was called Forgiveness.
Wow.
How crazy is that? That's
crazy.
what we did in your
Cool.
youth ministry.
Wow.
But basically, I was on this journey of going, I need to find life and I need to get away from all this. To be honest, just to cut it short, I ended up becoming like worse, destroying people's lives. I did a lot of nasty things to people. I did a lot of nasty things to myself. We did a lot of bad things to others. Just being honest about it, we didn't understand. We hurt people. We hurt each other. We hurt people from our schools. It was just a big mess.
Yeah.
And we'd cover it up with the partying and the drinking and doing all that. But really, it was just such a hurtful world.
Yeah.
There was. I was hurting people. I was being hurt.
Yeah.
Gossip, you name it. It was just such a bad place to be. And that was me seeking life. I was looking for life on the destruction of hurting others, getting what I want, hurting other, hurting everyone around me, hurting my parents.
Yeah.
And so I remember being in such a dark place that I was like, I hate my life. I hate who I am. I hate everything about it. And I meet Kirsty. She was on that journey of me hating who I was. And as I was running away from something, it was like she was searching for what I had.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Crazy.
Yeah.
I want her life. And she's like, I want your life.
Wow.
And her finding God is really how I found God.
Yeah.
I remember having a moment where she one day said, can you take me to church? I was like, you don't want to. She's like, no, people at the pub were saying like,
You're a church boy.
your dad's a priest or something? And I'm like,
At the pub.
no, he
I love
they're
that.
like, oh, you dating that Sam kid? His
night where
dad's a
dreams come
priest.
true.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh, I was so mean. I'm so
and Kirsty's
sorry.
like, is your dad a priest? And I'm like, is your dad a priest? I'm like, well, if he was, I wouldn't be born. So there's something
True.
different there.
Point.
But I remember she was like, tell me more about it. And I was like, no, anyway. The more she seemed like she had this urgency to find more. And the hardest part for me to cross back was I never, ever could go back to God because I couldn't forgive myself for what I'd done to people.
Yeah.
I couldn't forgive myself for what I'd done to my parents, done to people at my school. There was a bunch I had a massive list. It was a massive book of wrongs.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I deserved to be a Christian or I deserved to go back to that.
Yeah.
And I kind of lived in a a world of regret and a world of, I should have just stayed at 12, 16 and not done this, looking for life.
Yeah.
Kirsty finds it. She finds God real quick. She starts speaking well. She starts changing how she holds herself. She starts having, I wouldn't say it like you didn't have morals before, but you had morals, like you wanted to
absolutely.
respect yourself.
Yeah,
She started to dress differently. She started to honour me differently.
Yeah.
And here I am still going on this journey, and
Yeah.
through her transformation, my transformation started. And I remember just one day looking at Kirsty, and she was walking like she was actually forgiven and she was actually set free. And that was something that I'd like wished, something I thought could be possible with what I'd done or been through. And I just remember just so vividly God, sorry, I'm just getting a bit emotional, but God just speaking to me and just saying, like, it's all good, you're forgiven.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about your past. I'm just so excited for your future.
Yeah.
And I just remember in that moment, I was like, you know what? I've been running away from life, chasing life, and found destruction, and now I've got to rebuild life. That journey's been tough, because to rebuild the mistakes and to rebuild the relationships and to rebuild all the destruction is a cost. There is a cost to changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, there is.
I don't think my family, my life, my wife, my kid, who I am would be today without God or without Christ.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's hard because people still see you where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know Sam before, they know Kirsty before, and you still walk in your local town, and we're not trying to prove to you that we're better, because we don't have to. We bettered ourselves for our own lives.
Yeah.
But to share the message of hope, forgiveness, and grace is not so much we're better than you. It's like He saved us.
Yeah, He can do it for you.
Like where we were at the bottom of the pit.
Yeah.
He pulled us out of it, gave us the best life ever.
Yeah.
And the journey has just been wonderful since then. And the biggest thing for me, and you'll hear this on my heart a lot for the rest of my life, is God really took me from being nothing and made me something.
Yeah.
He took me from hating things and hating myself to finding this journey. And it's not every day I don't get it right, but I wake up going, you know what? I'm actually the son of someone.
Exactly right.
I'm part of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm forgiven.
Yeah.
And even if I make mistakes, I'm loved through it.
Absolutely.
So that's what transformed me. I saw someone like Kirsty that came from a totally different background. Her life went from zero to like amazingness, and I was like, I've lived my whole life trying to run away from this, and it's right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I recommitted, should say, my life to God.
It's so
and
good.
that's when youth went from no to whoa, like there's a bunch of other young Sams and Kirsties out there.
Yeah, that's it.
That can be told the message of hope and love, and be guided by. Not that we have all the answers, but definitely we have the experience to help them on their journey. So that's where we came to where we are. But God just
I love that story.
Yeah, and I mention this to people now and youth that don't get it twisted. I was living a religion before.
Yeah.
And my coming out of that old world, I found a relationship.
Yeah.
And if that's one thing I can say to people watching, there's a massive difference between religion and relationship.
Absolutely.
Like, these are two different worlds. They're not mashed into one. They're not, they're not this, or maybe it's sometimes religious and relationship and religion are the opposites.
Absolutely.
And our church values relationship.
Yeah.
And sometimes religion can pop up and creep up in every organisation, but and even in our own hearts,
Yeah,
sometimes looking at
absolutely.
people go, how dare they cut me off on the road? That's my religious side. My relationship's like, God, forgive them or love the person that cut you off, which is hard. But
it is. And we're all on that learning curve,
Exactly
and for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
So
we're not
the
all
distincting
perfect.
differences of what I came from a religion and
That's
found a
so good.
relationship.
And of course, all life, that's just a snippet. There's always massive hills and road bumps and stops and starts. So it's like,
but that's life.
that's life, isn't it?
But how could you do without God?
Absolutely. And that's the main difference, isn't it? Is that you've got the peace now
Absolutely.
to
That's
guide
such
you
the word.
and
Comfort.
comfort when things aren't going great.
Absolutely.
And I love your story. They're polar opposites,
Polar.
but it's almost that story of
Opposites
if
attract.
God can use you, if God can use me, if God can use you two, God can use
Literally,
anyone.
Yeah.
if I can walk into a church and it doesn't fall down,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
you're so good. And it's like that stigma of if I was to walk, I love when I talk to my friends, they're like, if I walk to a church, it'll fall
burn
down. I'm like,
down.
trust me, it will. I
It
said
should have already fell down.
I said it might, but I'm telling you it won't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just
I'd feel blessed if it did. No.
yeah.
You made a miracle happen.
It's just
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
it's that perfect
God
example
uses
of
everyone
everybody.
and loves everyone.
Everybody, your story, it doesn't matter how fierce it is or how horrible you feel like your story is or how bad things got in your life or are or the things you've done wrong. There is a peace and a God and a forgiveness just
so
for
good.
you. I love that. In the Bible, it says that out of the millions and squillions and billions of people, he saw you.
Yeah.
Out of
so good.
everybody he just saw you. And that's sometimes what you need when you're really hurting is to know that you're seen and you're loved and that, you're allowed to make mistakes. But guess what? There's also a path for you to take that you can make it right.
Love it. Love it.
And just to add to that, another key of where we come from, you can carry shame.
Yeah.
And I've known your story a bit about the shame. I heard someone say once, and it changed my perspective forever. When people see you change, it's not you've become better than them or you're, it's proving that God can use nothing.
In something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I want to say
matter your story. No
our
matter
lives
how.
are not where we've made it and we're running success.
Oh, gosh,
the biggest
no.
success for our lives is peace.
Oh,
even if it's all chaos.
Absolutely.
But
I can vouch
to
for that one.
understand that, to not be shameful of who we are now
Yeah.
because of who people think we should have been, is realizing that for anyone watching, it's God can take you from nothing and turn you into something. Our lives are not how great we are. Our lives is how great God is.
Absolutely.
And how He has to be, for us to be here, He has to be real.
Yeah.
Our lives,
literally.
He has to be real. There's
Same,
no
right?
denying it. I should be the same. We should be the same old people we always have been. He somehow, just our lives proves that He's real.
Yeah.
We don't have to Bible bash, or we don't have to preach.
No.
We don't have to, convince you. What He's done for our lives is enough to say, if you can take this guy from high school or this girl from high school and turn it into this, He's real. He's 100% real. You can't do anything.
Thank you so much, guys. Love your story. And I love championing you on, and it's something that I will do always because I see the gift, I guess, and the calling that's on your lives. So, and I know your future is going to be amazing. But let's just do baby number 2 for now.
Let's get him out of the way.
Continue on.
Which one's 5?
Oh my goodness.
I'll have a
Is
tribe
it you either build a church or you just grow one?
Yeah, either way.
Either way. What's easier? Probably the other one.
You're helping out.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope that you find some encouragement with this chat. So stay tuned for next one out whenever we do that. So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you soon.